They have to understand that new paradigm of working in the world where you don't have the opportunity to do things manually anymore. So right out of the gate of university, when you step out, you're supposed to deliver what a person with 3 years experience was delivering before. So they have to learn AI first. They have to learn the AI tools, frameworks, workflows in university or in high school or in their learning journey before they become employable.
So it still sounds like very difficult. The customers and the market industry are requiring them to perform, demonstrate their capability, like 2 to 3 years experienced people.
So my advice to all the professionals who want to learn AI is...
Hi everyone, and welcome to interview series by ITviec about AI and data. I'm Naoto Ijima, General Director of ITviec. As of now, AI is reshaping development process, industries, and businesses, and also the job market. Today's topic, future-proof IT careers. What IT professionals need to master in the age of AI is designed to provide clarity. We'll explore how IT professionals can future-proof their careers in the age of AI, what the global talent landscape tells us, and what strategic steps IT individuals need to take to stay relevant, competitive, and confident. To explore this, I'm thrilled to welcome our guest, Mr. Prajith Nair, FPT Software Vice President and Head of Learning and Innovation at FPT Corporation. Welcome, Prajith. Thank you for coming to our show.
Thank you very much, Naoto. It's my pleasure to be here today.
Okay, so could you share a bit about your background and key milestones that shaped your approach to building the future-ready IT talents?
Sure, I would love to. I started my career as an engineer, as a software developer. And over a period of time, I became an architect and then went into delivering solutions for our global customers. In my 2 decades of experience, I learned that along with building solution, building the next generation of talent is very important. And that's where, in my experience at companies like Infosys and Hitachi, I learned that companies that win are companies that invest in learning, have a strong culture of learning, and treat talent development as a growth engine. And in my mandate, my job at FPT is to build that system at scale, bring a skill-first, AI-first ecosystem so that we can develop the next generation of Vietnamese talent ready to build solutions for the world.
Okay, thank you for sharing. So you worked for Infosys and Hitachi, and then your career started from engineer and then architect, right? And then you moved to the education or training field from Infosys era or Hitachi at the Hitachi.
Right from the beginning of my career, in a technology company, everybody is a teacher and everybody is a learner. And companies with strong learning culture follow that principle and follow that framework where every engineer has to share their knowledge, teach the next generation. And that's how I slowly got into the learning space. And over a period of time, I slowly transitioned where I focus now more on building talent.
Okay. And then that would be good for our audience because what we want to talk about is future-ready IT skills in the AI era. So before we talk about skills or career strategy, so we need some context. So in the first part, we'll explore global trends, compare them with Vietnam's current readiness, and identify the gaps and also opportunities emerging for IT professionals and organizations in local market. So the very first question is, you led training initiative at Infosys and Hitachi, and now at FPT. So from your international experience, what key difference do you see in AI skill readiness between the global market and Vietnam's IT workforce?
That's a great question. Globally, the workforces in India or other markets, I would say, are already at full stack maturity. What I mean by full stack maturity is the ability of an engineer to not talk about requirement, but talk about the value they deliver end to end. And Vietnam is very strong in engineering. The engineers I meet here are really good. Their capability is really strong. But the important learning that we need to build is confidence and fluency. What I mean by that is how AI can fit together into business workflows and scale at enterprise level. If our engineers can learn those end-to-end systems and can talk to customers, not in terms of requirement, but in terms of the value they deliver, then we would be ready to conquer the world. So that is the next phase for us. I don't have any doubts about capability. Technology, AI, everything are just tools to achieve the biggest purpose, and that is building end-to-end solutions that deliver value. And that's where we have to go.
Okay. So from your perspective, there is not much difference in terms of technical skills or something compared to Vietnam's IT workforce and an international IT professionals.
So there are definitely some differences, but the differences are not based on capability. Let me explain. In a mature market like Silicon Valley or in India for that matter, the number of engineers and the scale is very high. So the exposure and the environment an engineer gets to learn and to build is very high. And that benefit does not exist in Vietnam so far. But as we build more, as the country grows more, that ecosystem will also grow. So at this point of time, if I look at it purely from the perspective of learning a skill, learning a new skill, the engineers in Vietnam are equally capable as engineers everywhere. But in terms of environment and exposure they get, there's a little bit of a disadvantage. But that is where the learning culture of FPT and the learning ecosystems can fill that gap by creating that kind of environment internally in the organization and extend it to other learning ecosystems like universities, the developer network and community, and so on.
What lesson from more mature AI markets can Vietnam's IT professionals adapt to accelerate their own learning curve?
So I would say one of the most important mindset is the culture of experimentation. For technologies like AI, for new age technologies, learning is not enough. People need to build things, experiment with things, and we need to build that bias, build that natural inclination to try and do hands-on and build small things every day, every week, and keep experimenting. One of the things which can develop that skill even more is contributing in open source and participating in open source development. As you see globally, all the countries that are leading in the AI era, their contribution to open source community in developing new LLMs, developing new models, and so on is very high. And that is where learning naturally has to go to the next step, that is experimentation. Cannot learn just by studying. And that's a mindset shift we have to build. Progress from learning to demonstrating capability by experimenting and building things.
Okay, that's fascinating. So now you are introducing that kind of experimental culture or program to the FPT learning and development culture.
Absolutely, absolutely. So FPT is very strong in encouraging that culture internally. We have hackathons and building competitions, solution building competitions almost every week. If you walk into any of the FPT campuses over the weekend, there would be engineers who spend the whole day building some new solutions. And also to develop a culture of entrepreneurship and innovation, we have competitions like ITviec in the company that allows our developers to think beyond technology into thinking like a CEO, thinking like entrepreneurs, and creating their own products and end-to-end solutions. So that's a culture we spend a lot of effort to build, and we are really proud of that at FPT.
Okay, that's interesting. I sometimes think that when the company provide a training or to the engineers or something, it sounds like sometimes they expect engineers to, of course, code and then architect and then understand the business and then so it's like Superman. So but everyone cannot do like that. So how do you balance that, the technical skills and the business skills, and then because everyone cannot be a Superman.
That's a very interesting question. And I will have to answer that maybe using an analogy. And this is where the real power of AI is going to be visible. So I will tell a small story to explain it. If you've seen the movie Titanic or any movie like that, the job of a captain is like the job of conducting like an orchestra. When the captain wants the ship to run fast, in the older time, like in the time of Titanic, the movie, and so on, they would have an intercom. They will call somebody and say, make the ship move faster. And there would be somebody who will heat the boiler, put more coal, make more fire. So there are 50, hundreds of people working in the lower decks of the ship to listen to the command of the captain to make the ship go faster. That was how software engineers used to work for many years. The customer would say, let's build an app where some user can add a product and check out the product. That's the value of, in this case, let's say e-commerce. That's the value. You buy something. But in the older time without AI, the project manager or the business analyst has to maintain a team of 10 or 15 people to tell everybody some small micro component of the job. So somebody is writing the code, somebody is building the database, somebody is building the UI, somebody is connecting these things. Everybody is doing micro tasks, and only the project manager and the BA, business analyst, usually know what is the total value. But now with AI, like in the case of ship, now in the modern ships, if the captain wants the ship to go faster, he does not have to call anybody. He would have some lever at his hands to accelerate. Now with AI, the developers get the same power.
Okay.
Every developer can become a captain because there's AI to do those micro pieces of work.
That's super fascinating. So once we understand the landscape, and then the next step is transformation. So some roles will disappear, and other will be automated, like you said, and then entirely new job category will emerge, requiring new capabilities, new mindset, and ways of working. So you once mentioned that around 80% of training should be proactive. In your wording, experimental, with employees prepared ahead. So could you share a complete learning journey or framework that helps engineers stay ready before client demands arise?
Sure. So that's an interesting example again. I would like to start with a story. So if you go to a restaurant and if you order for food, and at that time, if you see the chef running out to buy vegetables, to buy meat, buy ingredient, then it's already too late. You're not going to give the best experience, or you're not going to deliver the best service or best product. The same is true for software industry. If the recruitment teams, if the training teams, if the project teams try to get the talent after there is customer demand, it is already too late. And that's why I said in one of my earlier discussions that for companies like FPT, we believe that 80% of the talent has to be ready before, and we can never be fully perfect, like in the case of restaurant also. So 20% is that safety for being flexible and being agile. Now, the important thing is, how do we achieve that 80% mark of keeping talents ready and prepared? We do that by following a skill-first approach. We analyze the market trend, the global business trend, the global technology trend, and we have our internal strategy meetings so that we can analyze the pattern and see where the world is moving and what kind of skills are going to be needed to build the next phase of development and technology in the world. And we train our people on those skills proactively. And to do that inside the company, we have role-based and career-based learning path. We think of it like a tree, where the leaves of the tree are less durable skills, like AI. AI 3 months ago was different. AI 6 months later will be very different. So they're not durable skills. The engineer needs to learn it every 3 to 6 months. So leaves are non-durable skills. People need to learn it every few months. The branches, they're more durable. They are skills which are valid for maybe 3 to 5 years. And they will be valid for a longer term. They're semi-durable skills. That can be skills like project management, like a scrum master, and so on, or a business analyst. And then there is the trunk of the tree. Those are durable skills, valid for maybe 5 to 10 years. And those are skills like problem solving, understanding the business context, and so on. So at FPT, we provide that framework to all our learners so they know what they have to learn to level up their career and level up what they deliver to customer and the organization.
So the FPT has kind of talent management system that record each individual's skill. And what are the criteria for that talent management system?
Because FPT takes pride in being a learning-centric company, our culture of continuous learning is very dear to us. So our investment in our learning ecosystem is very strong. Our skill ecosystem measures and keeps track of skills for every employee in the company, where skills can be technical skills, can be functional skills, domain skills, soft skills, market-specific skills, language skills, and there can be many skills. And every skills can have different levels, where maybe 0 or 1 is where somebody is a beginner. Maybe at 2, they are middle level. At 3, maybe they are senior. At 4, they are an expert. So we track these collection of skills, and we track the level of skills for every employee in the company. And that's an internal ecosystem. So when we have to deploy an engineer into a project, we can get the right kind of person who fits that requirement. And it has to fit not just the customer or the project requirement, it also has to fit the personal learning aspiration of that person, because we are human first. We may do AI, we may do many things, but in the end of the day, our asset is our people. So creating an ecosystem of learning and creating an ecosystem of skill allows our FPT staff to develop in a way that brings harmony to their career, their dreams, their aspirations, as well as the needs of the company, needs of customers, and everybody.
But you guys have thousands, 20,000 or 50,000 of people in your company. How can you provide the right learning opportunity for the right people in FPT, the huge organization?
That's an interesting question. And in my career journey of the last 2 decades, I've seen organizations do this manually with Excel sheets or trackers where every HRBP will track how many people they have, what they want to do, and so on. But now we are in the age of AI. AI makes these things very easy. The moment a person logs in into their laptops, into their systems, we have the ability to provide personalized dashboards to all employees. And the system and the AI knows what is their current job level. What are the courses they did in the last 1 month, 3 months, 6 months. It knows what they studied in their university. It knows the direction of growth they're following. And the system can automatically recommend what they should be learning next, keeping 3 important contexts in mind. The one is, how can this person succeed in their current project? The second is, how can that person succeed in that domain? And the third is how that person can succeed in our Go Global and the global mission. So as an example, if I have a software engineer working in the automotive domain for a specific customer, when they log in, they can see what are the skills required for their project and how they can become good in their project. It shows needed skill and what they have and the gap of the skill. So they can learn and they can become good for their project. But it also shows that to become good outside their project in automotive domain, what they must learn so they can do that. And then it shows them what are other companies in the world doing in automotive, what are other automotive companies doing, and how can they become an expert in that entire field itself. So this is something every FPT employee gets to see in their dashboard. And we are continuously putting effort, continuously making investment to make sure we keep developing this ecosystem.
That's cool. But everyone can do that because they are busy and they can spend enough time for their taking the training course or something.
Of course, that's always an important question. So, like I said before, that learning is an important culture of FPT. So, we have specific time and effort and also some requirements from all our staff at FPT to finish some essential hours or effort of learning every quarter, every month, or every year. So it's part of their journey. When they come to work, we expect them not just to do the job, but also to experience their human element, which includes learning, which includes employee experience, events, a lot of happiness things, and so on, because we invest in holistic development of our people. It's not just come, do the job, and go away. And in that holistic experience we provide to our people, learning is an integral part of it.
Thank you for sharing. So, what are the most significant AI skill gaps you currently see, both inside FPT and in the broader Vietnam IT market? So, and how are you addressing them?
Sure, that's an important question. Generally from a market perspective, I would call out the most important things. The first one is the ability of engineers to work in a new way of production where AI first is the principle or the framework to produce. What I mean by production is software delivery, just like producing a movie. Software delivery is just like that. There are many moving parts, there are many stakeholders, there are many players, and you have to think of it like a complete production. So the first skill people need to have is that AI first mindset. And we invest heavily. in making our people have that AI first mindset. For every new employee that joins the company, it's part of their onboarding training. For all existing employees, they have quarterly micro learning modules they have to take so that their mindset is kept up to date and fresh about how to think AI first. The second is data fluency. As you know, data is the fuel for AI. If we don't have strong data skills, AI doesn't work. So we invest heavily to make our people strong in data engineering, data analysis, and related skills, because without that, there's no AI. And the third and most important part in that whole production is how the engineers and how every member of a project can apply AI in their actual work, not just in the mindset, but in the actual work. Use the AI tools, use the AI delivery systems in the software delivery life cycle, right from requirement to coding to testing to integration to delivery. There are AI tooling and workflows for everything. And we train our staff to deliver software in that AI augmented fashion. And that's why we use the term AI augmented staff. AI augmented staff is people who can use AI to deliver software in the new way. And we invest heavily to build and make all our staff AI augmented. The goal of FPT is to have at least 80% of all our staff to be AI augmented. They can use AI for their everyday job. Not just engineers, but everybody. It can be a marketing person, it can be a business analyst, it can be an HR person, it can be a developer, a tester, to everybody. And the fourth one I would say is what we call as AI champions. And that's another lack of skill in the market. AI champions are people who take the same capability to our customers. Because many customers globally, they don't know how to apply AI in their business ecosystem. So AI champions for us are people who are strategists, who are consultants, who understand AI end to end, like the orchestrator, like the captain of that ship. They can talk to customer and understand what is that business value, where we can apply AI to increase that business value. And AI champions help our customers to realize that potential. And that is another skill we build in the company.
How many AI champions do you have for now?
So overall, at a FPT level, our goal is to make sure 80% of our staff is AI augmented, and 15% of the staff will be AI first developers and AI champions, but nearly 100% of the staff with their mindset and capability are AI first.
That's interesting.
And that's a continuous journey, because you see, FPT is a fast growing company, as you know. So we cannot stop working. We have to keep developing our people, because as we talk, maybe 10 new people might have joined this campus right now. So my team would talk to them and make sure they learn the things they have to learn. So it's a continuous process of building those skills.
Okay, that's interesting. So beyond the traditional training, what innovative methods such as gamification or micro-learning or AI-driven learning platforms are providing most effective in keeping engineers engaged and motivated?
Very good question. So along with AI, one of the biggest application areas of AI is education and learning. And we are also seeing a lot of customers who are interested in the same. But let me give you some examples of how we implement AI and in improving our learning experiences. So I gave you the first example before of how using AI, we build a skill-first ecosystem. We can create personalized learning journey and see the skills of everybody and help them grow. So that skill-first ecosystem is enabled by AI, where our learners can learn new things, not just by reading a course. There are courses, of course, but the new ways of learning are the learners need to do simulations, role plays, hands-ons, to make them closer, as close as possible to the real challenges of the world. We simulate that battle environment, we simulate that real situation, so the engineers can know what are the challenges of the customer, what are the burning issues of the customer, and we create that environment. It was not possible before without AI, but with AI now, we can have agents, we can have role plays, we can have simulations, and so on, and that's one of the ways to do it. The second thing we do is create personalized and gamified learning journeys. So every learning program in the company has gamification and personalization to it. And I will speak about each of them. Personalization is important because every individual is unique. They have different learning style, they have different learning needs, and they have different learning speeds. So we cannot offer one single course to everybody and expect to learn in the same way. So our learning ecosystem is very adaptive, where for the exact same learning, some people may take 10 days, some people can finish it in maybe 6 days, some people do it in maybe 15 days, depending on their learning cycle, depending on their learning agility and speed. It doesn't mean that somebody's slow or fast. That's not what I mean. Some people are deep learners. They need more time to practice. They want to understand the inner workings of things. And some people want to build faster and want to try out things faster. So there are different styles. We enable that. And in terms of gamification in the company, we have many campaigns, leaderboards, monthly leaders of learning, and so on. These create and continue the culture of learning. And then while we do all of this, we use AI also as a teacher. So we have digital workers or agents which act as teachers. For example, simulate client interviews or simulate some burning issue in a project. There are agents which can recreate those sort of situations, do code reviews, try to simulate bugs in the code, and so on. The idea is to give a learning environment that is as realistic as possible. It is stressful, but that's how life is. Life is not a comfort zone. The more we prepare in training, the easier it becomes in life. So the learning environment provides them that real situation. Let me give you an example. Let's say I have a developer who is working for, let's say, a global automotive company. This is just an example. And now the developer, let's say, has a demo or a presentation or has to explain some issue that we have to solve. Now, we have an internal AI-based role-play engine, which has 3 layers of information. The base layer is the basic knowledge a person needs to have, technology, soft skill, and domain, and all of that. The second layer is the domain information specific to automotive domain, because this engineer is working in automotive. And the third layer could be information specific about the customer. How is the customer? How is the status of the project? Do you expect the customer to be angry or happy? So when they go into the role play, it can read all these signals, and the AI can pretend as the customer who asks you technical questions, domain questions, and maybe the software you delivered last week had some bugs, so maybe the customer is not happy. So the AI will simulate that emotion and the responses from AI, and this is real voice that you're talking to. It will say things maybe in an aggressive tone or so on, and the engineer is sitting with the webcam and audio, and they have to interact, just like a video call.
So basically, the engineers and the FPT team members will communicate with AI video
That's right.
conversation or something.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
That is one example of a simulation. There are many different kinds, but I'm giving you a simpler example. And this is towards making our people more confident in what they do, because they have skills, they have capability, but we have to make them ready for the world.
So let's back to some fundamental part.
Sure.
So what mindset or habit do you believe helps them continuously grow instead of feeling that they are falling behind because of AI or something?
So that is the mindset we covered before, but I would love to repeat it. We have to stop thinking of AI as a new technology to learn. It's not a new technology. Like I gave an example with the ship thing, it's a new production system. And every engineer has to think about what is the outcome they deliver, what is the value they deliver. Right now, they think about, in the previous generation, they think about what is the task they do. If you talk to an engineer, they will say, I wrote 10 lines of code today, or I fixed 2 bugs today. Those are tasks. But they're not, in the previous generation, they would not be able to talk about the value they deliver. Did they allow the customer's app to get 15 more customers today? Did they make the application run 5 times faster? Did they allow the customer to earn 2 times more revenue? So those are the outcomes engineers can now think about when they work with AI. They can reduce their thinking about tasks, independent tasks, micro tasks. They can start thinking more about value. So when our AI augmented engineer or AI champion goes into a project, they learn how to talk in that new production system, how to talk in that new value or outcome oriented way, where they're not telling customer that I finished coding 5 requirements, I fixed 15 bugs. They should not be talking like that in a new AI first world. They should be talking about, I allowed your app to run 15% faster. I am bringing 20% more customers to your app. And these are the steps I took to do that.
Yeah, that's true. So actually, I'm also sharing, always saying to my teams that not just focusing on please focus on outcomes, not the outputs.
Yeah.
That's the same idea.
Exactly.
We talk a lot about the current change. So now for the next part, we want to talk about the future and look ahead. So this part of the conversation explores what the next 5 years may look like for IT talents. So not just in terms of skills, but roles and career path, leadership model, and how AI will reshape the idea of work itself. So with AI reshaping the industry, which tech roles do you expect to grow fastest over the next 3 to 5 years, and which roles might evolve or decline?
Good question. I think this question is also important for all the professionals in the field and also for all the professionals in the market and in the students in universities. So what we see as a pattern is the demand for AI augmented engineers is going to grow a lot, because companies that need software development services, they expect faster timelines now. A typical project or software release that used to take 2 or 3 years about 10 years ago took about maybe 6 months to 12 months 3 to 5 years ago. And now in the modern age, customers expect code and product or features to ship out every 2 weeks or 3 weeks. So it has gone from maybe in terms of years to months and now to weeks. And to do that, the demand for AI augmented engineers is going to be very important. That's the first thing. The second is every digital company is undergoing an AI transformation. They're upgrading their products or building new products with AI. And to do that, they will need a lot of AI champions, like I spoke before, and a lot of AI product owners. These are people who can lead the strategy, lead the consulting in building end-to-end AI workflows. And AI product managers are people who can manage and build products sustainably, which are AI enabled. Those are some roles. And also, most importantly, the role of cybersecurity professionals with AI is also going to increase a lot because every time in the world the computing power increases, the risk also increases. Because as we use computing for positive and contributing use cases, there will be some elements that will use computing and the powers and AI and agents for not very contributing use cases. So the demand for cybersecurity will also increase a lot in the coming, it's already very high, but it's just going to increase. And the traditional roles of traditional software developers and testers is going to reduce. Companies across the world are not going to have the time and patience to invest in the legacy way of software development. So that's going to reduce both for testing as well as development purposes. And at the same time, the role for a lot of tasks, which include business analysts or things like that, which are non-AI augmented, will reduce because AI can do a lot of things. So overall, the requirement for people who can use AI in everyday work is going to increase a lot. And requirement for people who work without AI is going to reduce. But overall, I see it as a very positive trend because it will move the human capability from labor to a higher value chain of intelligence. So people can spend more time doing smarter things, better things, rather than doing boring or repetitive things. So it's about the pattern. The pattern is going to be outsource the boring and repetitive work to AI agents, use AI as an augmented assistant, and use the skill and mind to do higher value chain things.
Okay, that's interesting. I want to clarify some points. So you said that augmented AI engineers. So what do you mean by, so what the definition of augmented AI engineers, and then what the difference between the current engineers or traditional engineering?
Excellent question. I'm glad that you asked that question because I felt somewhere I did not explain that. So let me take you back a couple of years to explain what a traditional engineer does. So in a traditional software engineering job, a customer will come and say, can you make this? Because the customer is not an IT engineer. The customer is running some business and they want technology and IT to help the business. So the customer doesn't know how to explain. The customer will come and say, can you make something like this for us? The job of the IT delivery staff, the job of the engineering community is to translate that statement, that human language, can you do this, into specific business requirement. We call it as requirement analysis. And then break down that requirement into specific features of the product. And then create different teams that work in sprints, work in phases to develop that product. And that's a typical waterfall model of software delivery. Now with AI, even the customer can use AI and say, create a product specification to do something like this. So now my business analyst or my requirements analyst cannot work in traditional way because customer can use AI, can use ChatGPT or anything in the world. to get the collective intelligence and draft something which is very high specification. They don't need to have knowledge themselves. With AI, everybody has the knowledge of the entire internet. In the previous time, just about 2 or 3 years ago, if you had a question, you would go to Google and search for it. And then you have to discover where the answer exists in many links. But now AI makes that also easy. You don't have to go to different links. It summarizes the answer and steps for you. So for the AI augmented engineer, I'm trying to circle back to the original question. For the AI augmented engineer, it's about how can they use that collective intelligence of AI to accelerate every piece of work. So for example, for a developer, I talked about requirement before. Let me talk about developers because that is the biggest of the community. When a developer writes code, the possibility of them writing something brand new, like an invention, is very rare. Nearly 70 to 80% of all the code they have written has been written by some other developer somewhere in the world for some other customer. And AI has learned from all that code base. So now when a developer sits down to write code, the developer can tell AI that write this for me. And the AI can write all the code. It will never be 100% accurate. Even with developers, it is never 100% accurate. That is where the human intelligence comes in. So that is one major shift in AI augmented developer. Before, the human used to write the code. Now AI is writing the code and human is the reviewer. So the job of the new AI augmented developer is make AI write the code maybe 10 times faster. And then the developer is a reviewer, like an auditor, who is going through the code to make sure everything is okay. Somewhere, if AI makes mistakes, correct those mistakes. But overall, along with AI engine, the developer can now do the same work 10 times faster, 20 times faster, and so on. Overall, at a company level, we see that AI augmented staff can do the work approximately 20 to 30% faster, which means the cost is lesser, the time to deliver is less, so customer can get the product faster, better, cheaper.
But it's still not just 20% or 30%. It's not kind of double or triple the outcomes or something.
So we are, I believe, still in the first generation of AI. We still have many different generations to go. Now you're already hearing about quantum computers. They will make things even more faster. Today, if you ask me, quantum computers is where AI was 10 years ago. 10 years ago, AI was there, but it became popular in the last 2 years. In the next 8 to 10 years, quantum computers will become possible. It will make AI 10 times faster. So we are still in the first generation of AI. And in the first generation, depending on the company's maturity and people maturity of using AI, we can expect to achieve around 20% of improvement. When I say 20, it's an average number. Some teams achieve 10 or 15%. Some teams can achieve 30 or 40%, depending on maturity. But as we go ahead in the next couple of years, computing will become faster, AI models will evolve. This technology is growing very rapidly. And then it might become, like you said, 2 or 3 times faster.
Okay, that's interesting and very that's a super interesting story, but at the same time sounds like super difficult, you know. So for mid-career engineers or junior engineers who want to move into the AI related roles, so what's a realistic first step or transition roadmap you would recommend to them?
So one of the most impacted community with AI in terms of software development are fresh engineers out of university. The reason for that is most of the places where AI is applied is in the beginner level jobs. And that is typically the jobs that go to interns or fresh people out of university. So the impact of AI is strongest there. What we see as a pattern is the job requirements have shifted by around 2 to 3 years. What I mean by that is what we wanted a fresh out of university person to do now is what a 3-year experienced person would do around 3 years ago. So the job requirement for nearly all roles, not just in engineering, but engineering, marketing, communication, everywhere across the world, the job requirement at the beginner level has shifted by about 2 or 3 years. So a fresh person out of university today with AI would do what a 3-year experienced person can do before. So that is the important thing. So students, young people have to adopt the AI mindset very early in the age, maybe in university or even before that. They have to understand that new paradigm of working in the world where you don't have the opportunity to do things manually anymore. So right out of the gate of university, when you step out, you're supposed to deliver what a person 3 years with 3 years experience was delivering before. So they have to learn AI first. They have to learn the AI tools, frameworks, workflows in university or in high school or in their learning journey before they become employable.
Okay. So it still sounds like very difficult for very junior and the middle people because the customers and the market industry are requiring them to perform, demonstrate their capability like 2 to 3 years experienced people.
My suggestion to all the young people is to think about building with AI. What I mean by that is pick one AI stack, regardless of your major in university. Pick a specific AI stack. As an example, let's say I'm a young software engineer in university. Pick any one AI stack. Let's say Azure AI, OpenAI, something like that. Step 1, learn it. Step 2, build something with it. Step 3, give it to your friends and community or other people and co-develop, put it in open source or participate in hackathons or do things like that and expose yourself, expose your knowledge and get into the environment of building things. If you can build things, then you're already in the journey. If you're just learning things, then you're behind. So my advice to all the professionals who want to learn AI is don't get confused. You don't have to learn math. You don't have to go into those. There is no need to reinvent what already exists. Pick any AI stack. You cannot go wrong. Pick any AI stack, learn it, build with it, and take what you build to your friends, to your family, to your society, to your school, to your co-workers, to people, participate in hackathons, participate in competitions, and see if you can create that end-to-end product or feature. And as you do this more and more, you get experience, and then it becomes easy to replace one with another. I mean, in the beginning, it was very difficult to move people from, let's say, searching on Google to searching on, let's say, ChatGPT, just as an example. But now people seamlessly switch between ChatGPT, Gemini, Cloud. There's so many options. So there's no need to worry about so many different things, so many options. Just pick one, run with it, build something, ship it, contribute, co-create, and then go ahead.
Okay. So any option is fine.
Any option is fine. Any option is fine. Because like I said, the technology is just a tool. AI is about the new production system. If you think of it like a tool, then you need to learn too many things. But if you think of it like a new way of working, then the tool is not important. You can replace the tool when you want.
Okay. So could you share a success story from FPT where an individual or team transformed their career or project outcomes through AI learning or upskilling, and how that impacted their project or career?
How we build some of that in FPT. So, as a use case and as a story, for one of our largest projects, I'm sharing a real story here. For one of our largest projects, our AI champions, they are the people who act as strategists and consultants for our customers. Our AI champions and our AI augmented engineers, like I shared before, they were able to bring the AI workflows and the AI way of delivering software to that customer, one of our biggest customers. And this happened recently in the same year, 2025. And for that same customer, we were able to ship software, we were able to deliver software 30%, approximately 30% faster on an average, while reducing the error rate and making things more accurate and shipping things faster. That makes customers happy, that makes engineers happy, that brings more value into the ecosystem. And overall, it's a win-win situation for everybody. That is one example of one specific project where we implemented it, but we have many, many projects like that where AI workflows have allowed the engineers and customers and FPT to derive higher value with the same set of people with the power of AI.
Is there any specific training initiatives or educational initiatives that bring the impact within FPT to the business?
Sure, absolutely. So, of course, for a big journey like the AI first journey we've been talking about today, it cannot happen without a lot of investment into our people. So we have dedicated training programs where we teach our people on how to apply AI into their work. So we have multiple different learning programs, from mindset to becoming AI augmented engineers, to becoming AI champions, to doing a lot of sharing and workshop and seminars and hackathons and many such events internally, so that people can learn not just from their experience, but also from the experience of other engineers and other projects.
You repeatedly mentioning about the build to experiment or something. So how do you see it? I understand that's quite important for AI era to actually gain the not just learning, so actually gain the experience. So how do you see the collaboration between enterprise, universities, and the learning platform evolving to build a truly global AI-ready workforce? Is there already ready for building those talents, or in a phase to evolve?
It is always in a continuously evolving phase. And I'm glad that you mentioned, I am a big believer in the maker community, in the builder community. And learning can happen only by making things. For engineers, the only way to learn is to build things. And that's why I keep repeating that word. But coming back to your question on the role of universities and learning platforms and everything, the job of a university, the fundamental building block of a person, is the fundamental knowledge. We also call it as the first principles. The job of university is to teach the first principles or the fundamentals to the people. And that should not change very often, because technologies keep changing too fast. universities should follow the industry trend, but universities also need to provide stability to the talent in the country and the ecosystem. So universities can never be at the same speed as the demand of the market. So the job of university is to teach fundamentals, and they do a very good job at it. The job of companies is to apply the fundamentals. For example, somebody learns science and math in university. In the company, we combine science and math to build some solution for customer. The job of companies is to teach applied science, or how to apply the technology, how to apply the specific principle. And the job of learning platforms is to keep people up to date. So if I combine these three, universities build the foundation, companies apply the knowledge, so they teach people how to apply the knowledge for customers, for applications, and so on. And learning platforms have a job to continuously keep people updated because things change too fast. So today and in the previous time, these things were independent. The connection between universities to companies to learning platforms was not very strong. What FPT is doing now, and you know we have the FPT University ecosystem, but in addition to that, FPT is also partnered with many other and almost all the universities in Vietnam and also many universities across the globe. So what FPT does is connect these three dots: the university, the industry, the learning platforms, and bring them together to create that shared ecosystem, infrastructure, and that talent pipeline. Sometimes we go to university and we tell them, let's create some curriculum together. Sometimes we go to university and we send our trainers there to bridge the gap between university to industry. Sometimes we go to learning platforms and we say that this is how the content needs to change, or this is how the learning method needs to change. So our job in the role of FPT today, and as part of my primary role as head of learning and innovation, is to connect these different entities in the talent pipeline from the time the talent starts developing throughout their career life cycle. And we actually start pretty early. We start engaging people right from their high school level, even before university. At high school level, we are making them interested in STEM and AI and data. So when they go to university, they choose AI, they choose data, they choose computer science and ICT as a major, because FPT as a company is also contributing to the development of Vietnam in the technology space. And it is part of our nature and our job to inspire people towards that technology and AI first world. So we start very early, high school level, and sometime even before that. Initially, we inspire people to turn into ICT. Then at ICT level in universities, we go and engage with them to connect, bridge the university to industry gap. We also work with multiple different learning platforms to make them fit better in the industry space, university space, and also in the Vietnamese ecosystem space. We give inputs to many platforms on what they need to change to fit better and to make people more relevant. So think of it like a supply chain. It's completely like a talent supply chain.
So you are working on FPT right now, and then FPT is Vietnamese company. Why does FPT invite you? So what do they expect you to do in FPT?
Thank you. Thank you very much for that question. So as you know, FPT is a global company. In Vietnam, we are the biggest company. In Southeast Asia, also we are the biggest IT company. But the motto of FPT is to go global. And to go global, FPT wants to bring the best of the world's knowledge to Vietnam to make our people ready for the next chapter of Vietnam's growth. So FPT invited me to come and join in this mission and this journey, where I can contribute and I can participate in developing the next generation of talent, and at the same time work with the leaders of FPT in helping the company and people go global, understand customers across the world. And that is one of the important mission I have. In my working experience, I work mostly in European and American markets. So that's one knowledge I bring to the company. And in addition to that, because I worked in large enterprises like Infosys and Hitachi, Infosys is about 10 times bigger than FPT, and Hitachi is many times bigger. I had the experience of working in large, stable, mature organization. But as you know, with large organization, the culture is not like a startup culture. FPT is still like a teenager in the IT industry globally. In Vietnam, obviously, it's big. But globally, I would say FPT is still in the teenager phase of growth. And I feel proud and delighted to have the opportunity to come and participate in that phase, because that is the most exciting phase of any company. When it goes from $1 billion to $5 billion, we call it as the 5 Giga Journey in FPT. It is my honor to come and participate in that journey of FPT, in that growth phase of FPT. And I'm delighted I have the opportunity and invitation from FPT to come and do that.
So thank you for your insights, for sharing. Before we close, if you could offer just one piece of advice to the IT professionals preparing for their future in the age of AI, what would it be?
So my advice to all the people would be, technology is not designed to be static. Technology is always evolving. Technology is always changing. And so do we. So every professional working in this industry has to understand that technology is just a tool, and the tools will keep changing. And we have to continuously learn. We have to inherently build a nature of continuously learning and developing so that we can keep pace with technology. And that is going to be the truth for every professional out there. The continuous learning nature and culture will keep people always relevant. If somebody thinks that I've learned something today and it is going to make me relevant for the next 5, 10, 15 years, that's not true. Technology was changing once in 5 or 10 years, 20 years back. It was changing once in 3 or 4 years, 10 years back. Now it changes every 6 months or 1 year. So people have to continuously learn and grow, and that fundamentally, learn and grow, is the basic principle of FPT.
So now learning and grow is becoming much more important than before.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is
Okay.
one universal truth.
So thank you, Mr. Prajith, for joining us in this conversation.
Thank you very much. It is my pleasure to participate and share with the community. Thank you.
Thank you. What an interesting conversation. Whether you are an engineer or a student, this is the time to experiment, learn, and build a career designed for change. Thank you, Mr. Prajith, and all of the audience for joining us in this conversation, and for being part of the next chapter of Vietnam's tech evolution. This is the interview series by ITviec about AI and data. See you in the next episode. Thank you.